Hey there, it's Julie Broad of Revenue.com, and I am in week 3 of adding a legal suite to one of our rental properties. And I've got lots to talk about today. I'll probably shoot 2 videos this week because I have so much going on. One of the first things I want to talk about is I want to take a step back and talk about why we're adding a legal suite and what that means for us and a few of the steps that we had to go through. So we're adding a legal suite as opposed to an illegal suite, which is simply a suite that gets added without permits. So you go ahead and build it and don't tell the city that you're doing it. And we always do legal suites for really 3 main reasons. The first reason is that we want to add value. And while you do add a little bit of value when you put in an illegal suite, it's way more saleable in the future and it adds more value today. And the lenders will consider legal suite income, where in many cases they won't consider illegal suite income. So there's a lot of reasons why it adds more value today. And that's really one of the most significant reasons why we do it, is that it adds quite a bit more value to go the legal route versus the illegal route. And I would talk to your realtor in your area to figure out just how much value. In this particular area, most of our appraisals will come in $30,000 to $40,000 higher for a legal suite versus an illegal suite. So that's the number 1 reason. Number 2 is to minimize tenant fighting, because we find over utilities, for example, it's a pain in the butt when you have multiple properties. It's fine if you have 1 or 2. You can try and split up the utilities or try and include utilities in your rent. But when you have more than a couple of properties, it's a pain. And splitting off the hydro so they each pay their own, it's great. Because otherwise what you find is, say the tenant that's paying 60% of the utilities, they start getting mad because the other tenant seems to be using a lot more electricity than them, but they're still paying 60%, so they don't think it's fair. Either that, or they don't pay attention to it at all, and you've built it into the rent, so now it's eating into your cash flow. All of those scenarios suck. So we like to split it off and have our tenants pay for it. So that's the second big reason. The third reason is risk mitigation. Of course, if you have a suite that is not done with building permits, if somebody complains or the city does an inspection and they find out it's there, they can ask you to shut it down and remove it back to the last state where it was on record with permits. And that can be expensive and, of course, hit your income really significantly. So we don't even want to lose a minute of sleep over that or worry about it, especially with our investors involved in the deals. So we go the legal route. So those are the 3 reasons why we focus on adding legal suites to our properties. Now, there are a variety of things depending on where you live and where you invest, what you can do, or what kind of suites you'll find. Here, where we invest in Nanaimo, we have illegal suites, which is suites done without a permit. We have authorized suites, which is basically after the fact. So whether you buy a property with a suite or you put one in, you go down to the city and you get them to authorize it, which isn't the same as having a permit and doing everything to code, but it is the city then coming in saying, okay, everything meets basic health and safety standards and a certain checklist, and we'll give it an okay. And then there's legal, which is what we're doing, where you go in, you get a permit to do it. So you have to come in with plans. We had a guy draw up the plans. We paid about $1,700 to have plans drawn up for this house, and we take them into the city and apply for a permit. And then you pay a fee. I think in this case, we're looking at $600 or $650 for our permits, our fee. And then you're good to go. You have some inspections along the way, and then at the end they give you an occupancy basically, and you're legal and everything's good to go. In some areas you may also find legal non-conforming, and what that is when the property was built, it was legal. However, it no longer conforms. It no longer meets the building codes. And if you find a property like that, what you need to be aware of is, should something happen, so if there's a fire or you want to do a significant renovation, you will not be able to have it as is. You'll have to bring it up to current codes. That's what it is. But it was legal in its day. Whew. So like I said, lots to cover, but those are the reasons why we pursue legal suites, and that is also just a little bit about the steps in the process that we're going through. Another thing you might not realize, and I just wanted to mention it because I'm standing in front of it here, is you will split up your hot water tanks. And when you're looking at it, you're going to want to try and figure out where that's going to go, because sometimes it can be quite complicated. In the case of this house, it actually worked out fairly well for us, because the suite hot water tank, this wall right here to my right, it's going to be the fire rated drywall, and on the other side of it is where the existing hot water tank is. That's going to be replaced, and it needed to be replaced anyways. As you can see, it's cracked and it's leaking, so it had to go anyway. So we're putting in a 40-gallon tank for the suite, and then right behind me here, this was all a wall. And when we had a little opening underneath, and we could see that we would have space underneath the stairway to put the 60-gallon tank, which will service the rest of the house. And that's what we're doing. And it works out really, really well in this case. It's fairly neat. It looks like, you know, even the plumbing situation with the tank should be fairly straightforward. But it can be very problematic as to where you're going to put the 2 hot water tanks. So it's definitely worth it to bring in a plumber or 2 or 3 and get opinions on a property to figure out, you know, how you're going to put that in, so you can keep it all separated, because they need to be firewall separated to keep it separate. Whew, all right, I hope this helped you a lot, and I'm going to shoot another video for week 3, so look for video 2 of week 3, and we'll see you again next week, when we should have lots of stuff going on as we get work on the plumbing and some of the flooring goes in. It's going to be great, so we'll see you then.